Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Betting Pros NFL Week 11 Sunday morning live stream brought to you by BetMGM, where you can get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you use the highly original promo code BettingPros with your first deposit. He's Fitz. I'm Freedman. Pat Fitzmaurice and Matthew Freedman here to highlight our favorite NFL bets for this weekend. And Fitz, I'm just springing this on you at the end of the show. I think we're going to take a couple of questions if there are other games that people want us to touch on. By the way, more on that I started the intro music, that like intro screen, and I let it run for like 2.5 minutes before I realized that I hadn't hit go live yet in StreamYard. So anyway, that's what's happening. Total moron here, but we're all live. We're good now. Fitz. We're just days away from Thanksgiving, one of the best holidays, I think, of the year. And for me, the official marker of the beginning of the end of the NFL season, which means we're getting closer to fantasy playoffs, NFL playoffs. It's, I think, the best time of the year. How's it going?
Good, man. Yeah, Thanksgiving does feel like the sprint to the finish line begins then. And I agree with you. What a great day. I mean, the four F's: food, family, football, friends. So yeah, great day indeed. And, let's give ourselves a little fatter bankroll going into that big betting week.
Yeah, I mean, if you get lucky, maybe you get that fifth F, if you know what I'm saying, but maybe not, probably not because all the food and the football and the family. All right, let's get into it. We've got some games to look at here. First one, I'm looking at Bears at the Falcons, +3. This is +2.5 at some books, +3 at BetMGM. Again, where you can get that risk-free bet of up to $1,000 with the highly original promo code BettingPros with the first deposit. The Falcons have no real home field advantage. Arthur Smith is 3-9 against the spread at home. And the key matchup for me in this game is Justin Fields against the Falcons linebackers and cornerbacks. The Falcons are yet to face a true dual threat quarterback this year. That's obviously what they're getting in Justin Fields, who's like at this point, sort of like a 2018/19 Lamar Jackson type of player. Fantasy football isn't the same thing as sports betting, but as a frame of reference, over the past month, Fields is number one at the position in expected fantasy points, actual fantasy points, and fantasy point over performance. The dude is just absolutely crushing. He's number one among all quarterbacks and basically whatever rushing metric you're going to look at. And I think he has a massive edge over the linebackers, Rashaan Evans and Michael Walker. Both of those guys are like off-ball thumpers. Like I don't think they have the speed to catch up with Fields whenever he breaks the pocket. The Bears' top 10 run offense, thanks primarily to Fields, and the Falcons are bottom 10 in run defense in EPA and DVOA. And then Fields is like no longer a total net negative in the passing game. It's not like he's a top 10 passer, but like he's not the horrible player that we saw last year as a passer and in the first 3 weeks of the season. 7.8 adjusted yards per attempt since week 4. Like that is livable. And the Falcons will have number one cornerback AJ Terrell back. But like, I don't think he's 100%. He's still, I think, going to have a little bit of limitation with the hamstring injury. And then, of course, they're missing their number 2 cornerback in Casey Hayward. Falcons are number 29 in defensive pass DVOA, number 30 in dropback success rate. I think they're going to be vulnerable, whether it's, them on the ground or them trying to defend against the pass. So I have this projected at 0.75. So I see significant value here, even at +3, and I bet it at +4 on the look ahead. And by the way, of course, I'm going to have to do the quick plug here. Just going to loop it in really quick. Let's see. What am I looking for? There we go. I logged this in the BettingPros app at +4. We can sync up with sportsbooks. You can get free betting advice and picks. You can track different experts, line movement, track your own bets, and you can get sports betting alerts now with some improvements that we've made in the app. And you can monitor all the major sportsbooks to see which book is offering the best line on a bet at any given moment. So download the app today in the Apple or Google Play Store. All right, so Fitz, that's my first bet here. I have Bears +3 on the road against the Falcons. I don't know if you have any quick thoughts on this bet. I know that one you are looking at Eagles -6.5 at the Colts.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Bears. I like them. I think they've just taken a step up in class, and I'm not sure this line reflects that. So I second that bet. And I do like the Eagles at -6.5. It feels like this game should not be under a touchdown, and that this line is subject to some recency bias. Like, it feels like the Colts are getting too much respect for beating a Raiders team on the road last week, a Raiders team that's totally coming apart at the seams. And it feels like the Eagles are sort of being punished for laying an egg on Monday night, losing their perfect record against, the mediocre Washington Commanders. If anything, though, I don't want to fade the team that's coming off a humiliating game at home on national television, losing your perfect record. Like, this is going to be an angry, pissed off Eagles team. So like, I want to bet on that team. I don't want to fade them because of that recent dud. And really, what is the motivation for the Colts? This is a team that, 3 weeks ago, benched Matt Ryan for Sam Ehlinger. Like, that is not the move you would see a team make if it was looking to, go hard, win all of its games, have a great end to the season. So no Shaq Leonard for the Colts, no Kwity Paye up front. I think Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders are going to be able to do a lot of business on the ground against the Colts this week. And the Eagles are 4-0 on the road this year. They won by a field goal against the Lions and Cardinals, and won by double digits against the Commanders and Texans. So is this a game where the Eagles squeak by and win by a field goal, or do they win comfortably with that extra motivation they have off the embarrassing loss? I think they win this one comfortably in Indy.
Yeah, I have this projected exactly at 6.5. If I had to bet it, it would be the Eagles. It certainly would not be the Colts, even though I was on the wrong side of that Colts game last week. Okay, the second game I'm looking at here, Bills on the road in Detroit, hosting the Cleveland Browns. This line is 7.5. There was so much uncertainty on this game earlier in the week because of the weather and then the move to Detroit, and then, whether the Bills would actually be able to travel to Detroit. It's like they had George Costanza serving as the assistant traveling secretary with all of the issues that they had to get out of Buffalo. A couple of thoughts on this game. With the move to Detroit out of the elements into a dome, I think that actually helps the Bills. They lose the home field advantage, but the weather gave the Browns an edge in terms of matchup and in terms of how the game was going to be played. There was a chance with the wind and the snow that the Bills would struggle to score points. And now, with a perfect environment, they should be able to score. And the second thing is the Browns are not good, especially on defense. They're number 31 in points allowed, allowing 26.4 per game. The only teams that they've beaten, the Panthers in week 1, barely, and then divisional opponents. And weird stuff can happen in division. And the divisional opponents they've beaten, the Steelers in week 2, right after they lost TJ Watt, and the Bengals in week 8, right after they lost Jamar Chase. They lost 39-17 last week against the Dolphins, who, have a great offense, bad defense. What happens this week against the Bills, who have a better offense and a much better defense that is now healthy? I have this projected at 9.5. I mean, honestly, if it were 10, I would, and I had to bet this side, I would still be going on the Bills instead of the Browns. I think this is just a total onslaught with the Bills sort of exacting, not even revenge, but it's like they need to pay back someone for what has happened to them recently with their losses, and the Browns are going to be the perfect punching bag here for them. So I am very much on the Bills in this spot. Fitz, one game that you and I have a disagreement on. Jets at Patriots. You prefer the Jets at plus 3.5. Give me your thoughts here.
Yeah, let's argue about this, Freedman. So the Patriots have won 13 straight against the Jets. They do have that trend going for them, but the winning streak ends today. The Patriots beat the Jets 22-17 in week 8, just a few weeks ago. And those 22 points by the Patriots are the most anyone has scored against the Jets since the start of October. Like, the Jets defense has turned into just this fearsome beast. And, we've got Mac Jones trying to take on this fearsome beast. Like, in that first game, Friedman, the Patriots scored only 1 touchdown. They got 5 field goals from Nick Folk, and 4 of them were longer than 40 yards. The Jets outgained the Patriots in that game by almost 100 yards, 387 to 288. But the Jets kind of shot themselves in the foot with 3 turnovers in that game. That was really the story of the game, or the Jets could have won that one. The loss to the Patriots was the only loss the Jets have had since Zach Wilson came back from his early season injury. Now, we know they're not winning games because of Zach Wilson. I'm not trying to make that case, but, this has been a really good team over the last month and a half or so. And I just think this Jets defense has become so fearsome that the Patriots are really going to struggle in this one. And meanwhile, the Patriots can be run on. They're 21st in DVOA against the run. I think Michael Carter and James Robinson both get double-digit carries today and give the Jets a little bit of success on the ground, maybe free up, Zach Wilson, giving themselves a credible enough running game to make life a little bit easier for Zach Wilson. I mean, I think it's going to be a rock fight, but I feel like this is basically a toss-up type of game, and I'm happy to take the Jets, getting a couple points out of it.
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying, and I don't disagree really much with the premise or really the particulars of anything that you said. But I mean, Zach Wilson is bad. He's worse. He's worse than Mac Jones. I will just, maybe you disagree
with
that.
Not much, man. Not much.
Maybe not by much, but he is worse than Mac Jones. And I don't know. I think the bye week benefits the Patriots more than it benefits the Jets. And Patriots at home, -3. This game in week 8 was -3. And home field advantage is flipped. And yeah, they won. The Patriots won 22-17. But I know that the Jets had more yards, but honestly, that game was not even as close as 22-17. The Jets trailed by 12 points entering the final 2 minutes. At no point in the fourth quarter were they really a significant threat. So I'm still on the Patriots here, but we will see. I hate being on the opposite side of you here. All right, one game I am looking at here for the spread: Bengals 3.5 at Steelers. Now, I have to say this line has moved against me, which doesn't make me feel great. But I feel like this is a spot where the market, people are down with the narrative of, oh, Mike Tomlin as an underdog and Tomlin as a home underdog. People, I think, are starting to overbuy that trend. Joe Burrow, he's really good on the road, 13-7 against the spread for his career on the road. So it's not as if I think the home advantage that the Steelers have is enough to sort of outweigh the road advantage that the Bengals have, especially when they're playing a team in division, right? And it's not that far of a travel spot. So I still like the Bengals here. Their pass offense going against the pass defense for the Steelers. Yeah, the Bengals are without number 1 wide receiver Jamar Chase. He's got that hip issue. He's out another week, but they've still got T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst and Joe Mixon. That's a pretty good quartet of pass catchers. And the Bengals are solidly above average in the passing game. Top 10 in pass DVOA, dropback EPA, dropback success rate, going against a Steelers defense that is average at best in those categories. And the Steelers are injured in the secondary. They are getting Minkah Fitzpatrick back, but they are without cornerbacks Akella Witherspoon and William Jackson, who's on IR. So the Bengals lost to the Steelers by just 3 points in week 1 in overtime, despite 5 turnovers by quarterback Joe Burrow. Last year, the Bengals, they won by, 24-10? And then 41-10 in 2 games against the Steelers. This game has blowout potential for the Bengals coming off of the bye. So I expect Burrow to have success against the Steelers here. I was projected at -5, so I do like it here. Fitz, I don't know if you have any opinions on this game. One game you definitely have some opinions about: Broncos hosting the Raiders.
Yeah, I'll say something about Bengals Steelers a little bit later. But for
professional tease there. Very good.
Yes. Broncos, Raiders. Man, I mentioned earlier the Raiders are kind of coming apart at the seams. This is a team dealing with a lot of internal strife, it appears, or so we found out last week. So Josh McDaniels got a vote of confidence from team owner Mark Davis earlier this week, but he didn't get much of a vote of confidence from Derek Carr and Devontae Adams after the game when they lost at home to the Colts. Just a terrible loss against a Colts team that had, all but run up the white flag on the season. And Adams and Carr said that, not everyone in the locker room has bought in Presumably that means buying into the Josh McDaniels regime. And like McDaniels has never had success as a head coach. By some accounts, I think it was Tyler Columbus, the former Broncos offensive lineman, had talked about, he made it sound like the McDaniels regime in Denver was a lot like the Urban Meyer regime in Jacksonville last year. So it didn't paint a very flattering picture. Not everyone is bought in fully. I mean, we're in week 11. Like, that's a pretty bad sign. And now McDaniels has to try to beat the other franchise for whom he was a terrible head coach, the Broncos, for whom he went 12-20 in 2009, 2010. The Raiders are going to Denver to face this hostile crowd. I mean, Denver fans hate themselves some Raiders big time. And the Broncos are 4th in DVOA on defense. The Raiders are 32nd. Like, it's all about the defense here. Like, one is really, really good, and one is just absolutely god awful. So, I mean, like, to get a small spread here for Denver. I know that offense has struggled, but man, like, I think the Raiders' league worst defense is going to be a nice tonic for the Denver offense this week.
Yeah, my numbers point strongly towards the Raiders here, but I haven't bet it because I have no faith. I have no faith in it. Like, this is one of those instances where it's like, I know my numbers might be saying one thing, but there are so many things not captured in the numbers, and the total disorganization of that franchise, like, that's not captured in the numbers. And so I'm just, if I were betting it, I feel like it would be like, okay, road underdogs. This is the spot this year. Road underdogs have done well. I'd probably want to bet it and just hold my nose and say, okay, the Raiders, but I'm not doing it. So I can definitely see your point too. And I do have more on this game to talk about a little bit later when it comes to the totals here. All right. And let's get to the totals. Bears, Falcons, over 48.5. Talked about this game earlier. This is all about the Bears and Justin Fields. With him playing like Lamar Jackson, this offense is so much better. And this defense has been bad since trading away Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith. And the Falcons, they're a similar kind of team in that they're good enough on offense, they're efficient, and they're bad on defense. The Bears are 4-0 to the over in their past 4 games. They're in a dome. There's nothing to hinder points being scored. The Bears can score 24 points, and they can definitely allow 24 points to be scored. So I like the over here. I have this projected at 49.7. Oh, by the way, let me see here. You are talking about Broncos Raiders. I'm talking about Broncos Raiders under. Okay. I'm going to do the plug then. That's a nice little tease for what's coming up. All right. You are on Giants, Lions. You like the over of 45. Talk to me, Fitz.
I do. The Detroit defense is just such an accelerant. Like, the Lions are giving up 29.3 points a game. They've only held one team under 20 points all year. And of course, it was my beloved Green Bay Packers in that 15-9 loss a few weeks ago. And the Giants have scored at least 20 points in 5 of their last 6. So it's pretty simple. Like, I'm looking to bet overs in Detroit Lions games. And this feels like a pretty good spot with the Giants at home. I think they're going to go soaring over this total here. The Giants, I think, are going to score at least like 25 or 26. And we know the Detroit offense is competitive. So I think we see plenty of points here. I'm kind of surprised this number is as low as it is.
Yeah. All right. So I mentioned earlier that my numbers point towards the Raiders. As an underdog. And that often, if you like an underdog, normally that tends towards an under game. And that is what I'm seeing here with the Broncos and the Raiders. I'm betting under 41.5. And by the way, speaking of the Raiders, we are giving away let me pull it up here. Boom. We're giving away a free signed Josh Jacobs Raiders jersey from Pristine Auction. If you want a chance to win it, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now and comment below on the video. We will announce a winner on the channel in a future episode, so turn on those notifications. All right. Broncos Raiders under 41.5. Who scores points in this game? Like, the Broncos are 8-1 to the under. In a year of unders, you can't find a more under team. They are number 1 in points allowed. So like holding opponents to minimal number of points. and they're number 32 in points scored. They are literally the best defense and the worst offense in the league. Like, you could not put together a more perfect combination for a team to drive games to the under. Like, both units are doing exactly what they need to for unders to cash. And the Broncos are missing 3 of their top 4 wide receivers, multiple offensive line starters. I think it's going to be hard for them to move the ball downfield, and Wilson could be under significant pressure in the pocket. This just feels like a punt festival. So I'm very much on the under in this game, 41.5. I have it projected for, let me see here, I think around 39. So very much on the under here. Fitz, you have the under in Jets Patriots, which you talked about earlier. You expected it to be a total rock fight. I'm with you here. 38 is a low number, but it feels like it's not low enough.
I actually feel better about this total, I think, than the side and my Jets bet. And I've parlayed the two together, like the under and the Jets. So you asked how points are going to be scored in Raiders Broncos, and I have the exact same question about this game. It just feels like this is going to be, as you said, a punt fest. Both teams are top 6 in defensive DVOA. They're both in the bottom half of the league in offensive DVOA. The Jets 19th, the Patriots 26th. The Jets are top 10 against both the run and the pass defensively in DVOA, and the Patriots are second in DVOA against the pass. Patriots are 27th in offensive pace. Game time temperatures in Foxborough today, 38 degrees with a 20-mile-an-hour wind. So as if passing weren't going to be hard enough against 2 of the best pass defenses in the league, you've got windy conditions. Man, this game could be ugly. I'm just hoping there aren't turnovers that sort of tilt field position and make it a little easier for teams to score, because I don't think the offenses are going to get it done in this one.
Fitz, I'm imagining with Zach Wilson throwing the ball at some point that there will be some turnovers, but I hear you. I think the under is the side here as well. If I had to bet the total here. All right. I'm looking at the over 52 in Chiefs Chargers at BetMGM. This is 52.5 at some books. So good value at BetMGM. In week 2, on a short week, this game hit 51 points, and that was with both teams starting very slowly, only 17 points combined for these two teams at halftime. The Chargers are getting back Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I think they're going to start faster, and the Chiefs, they are in full form. And yes, they're missing some wide receivers, but at least they're not figuring out their offense the way that they had to earlier in the year. And last team, these two teams combined for 54 points and 62 points. I have this projected for 54.1. So even at 52.5, I still see some value on the over here. And this is coming from someone who hates betting overs. So I'm going a little bit outside of the comfort zone here. But in a dome, two teams that aren't great on defense and are strong on offense, I will be taking the over here. Fitz, Bengals, Steelers, you like over 40.
I do. And you talked about the side. I feel about the same way you do on this. I don't know. This total feels like a relic of the Vontaze Burfict, James Harrison eras of Steelers Bengals. Yeah. And I just don't think we're going to get that kind of a game today. The Bengals have scored at least 30 points in 3 of their last 4. They've scored 30, 35, 13, and 42 in those games. Steelers are 22nd in DVOA against the pass, 24th against the run. It's just not a very good defense, even with J.J. Watt back, bringing some heat off the edge. I mean, before Watt came back, like without him for most of the year, I think they were 30th in pressure rate all season. And the one thing that has sort of done in the Bengals offense this season has been pressure on Joe Burrow. So maybe they don't. I don't know. Watt certainly helps, but this is not a fearsome Steelers pass rush. Bengals are going to be without their best cornerback, Chidobe Awuzie, who tore his ACL. So that's going to help Deontay Johnson and George Pickens maybe do some damage downfield. And like the weather in Pittsburgh, a little chilly today, like upper 30s, but shouldn't be a factor. It's going to be sun, modest wind, or it might be upper 20s. But like light winds, weather should not be a factor. Like we should not get the winter tax on this point total. So I think this one's going to go over pretty easily, and the Bengals are going to be doing most of the scoring probably.
All right, so underdog money line parlay. I'm on the Bears at plus 130. You're on the Jets at plus 145. We've talked about both of those games, so no need to rehash it here. If you go to our parlay calculator at Betting Pros in the tool section, you can input plus 130, plus 145, and there you go. You get plus 464. So that is the payout there if we actually do hit this bad boy. All right, we've got a couple of questions here. Cowboys.
I was going to say, should we talk about Cowboys Vikings, since that's probably the most interesting game of the day and is sort of the most interesting line of the day. And I see in the chat, like, we've got people on opposite sides of that game. So maybe we should weigh in on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say Cowboys, Minnesota. Cowboys, let me make sure I actually have the most accurate line here. I believe it's still 1.5. Cowboys favored on the road against the Vikings, which, some people might be a little uncertain about that. The total is 48.5. Fitz, do you have any opinions on this game? Because I'll just say I really kind of don't. I have this pretty close to where it is. I'm showing slight value on the Vikings here, but it's slight, and I gotta say that's just the number. In terms of the matchup, I lean towards the Cowboys, but of course I am a biased Cowboys fan. What's your opinion here?
I've got two opinions, but they sort of contradict each other. Okay. And the first is that I think this game should be closer to a pick'em. And you know me, Freedman, I've been fading the Vikings all year and saying that they've been, living a lie, and like their overall performance just didn't sort of match up with their record. And they were winning all these close games against mediocre teams, which they were. And then they go into Buffalo and, just like in the first Creed Balboa fight. I mean, that was just such a wild game. Like you would have thought they would have had no chance to escape with the win, and they pull it off. There is something to be said for this team's resilience. And then the Vikings having a play in Minnesota. Like I'm surprised Dallas is favored, but my other opinion on this one is that this is the exact sort of spot where I like to bet a team such as the Cowboys coming off a tough loss, still have the sting of that loss in Green Bay in their mouths, and the Bills, a fat and a happy team, coming off this, like, how did we pull this out victory in Buffalo? Like, the spot as far as the emotions go, like, I just feel like Dallas has got this big edge. And but considering that I feel this game should be more of a pick'em and Dallas is actually a favorite, I just can't touch this game. I mean, I think it really could go either way, and I'm not inclined to bet it.
Yeah, this is a game that I haven't bet, and I probably won't be betting it.
What does your projected spread say on this one?
I have Dallas 0.75, favored by 0.75 points. So, right in between where the line is and where you have it projected at Pick'em. But it's close enough to where I'm not going to be touching it, and I have the total projected at 48.4. So it's right there. Like I'm not gonna be touching it. I'm just gonna be hoping that my Cowboys can pull out the victory here. All right, so let's see here. To recap, I am on Bears +3, Fitz Eagles -6.5. I like Bills -7.5. Fitz Jets +3.5. We will see there. And I'm on Bengals -3.5. Fitz Broncos -3. I like the over 48.5 and Bears Falcons. Fitz is over 45 and Lions Giants. I am under 41.5 and Broncos Raiders. Fitz is under 38 and Jets Patriots, a rock fight, I believe, as you put it. Over 52 and Chiefs Chargers for me. Over 40 and Bengals Steelers for Fitz. And then our money line parlay for +464. I'm taking the Bears at +130. Fitz is on the Jets at +145. Fitz, what else do you have going on for the rest of the day before kickoff?
Twitter takeover at 11 a.m. Eastern. So if you have any start-sit questions, come hit me up. Be sure to use the Ask the Pros hashtag. And I'll be taking over the Fantasy Pros account, I should specify. So looking forward to it, Freedman. It's going to be an exciting week 11.
All right, everyone in the comments, thank you so much for participating. It's great to have all of you in the audience. And yeah, I will be updating rankings all the way to kickoff, updating the betting pros spreads and totals, taking into account injuries and actives, all of that. And then this evening, finalizing our first round of week 12. Week 12, love it that it's almost here. Week 12 betting pros game projections. And I've already placed some look ahead bets, which of course you can get in the Betting Pros app. That's going to do it for the NFL Week 12 Betting Pros live stream. If you like the show, do us a solid. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and also, subscribe to the podcast too. We got some good shows coming out there each week. And by the way, this Tuesday, Fitz and I are going to be breaking down all three games on the Thursday Thanksgiving slate. So be sure to check that out. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck and see you next episode.